Hey, Jonas! Oh, mukhang masaya-saya mo ah. Kumusta ka pala interview mo? Guess what? I got the job! Nakapasa kasi ako sa interview sa school na in-applyan ko. Wow! Talaga? Congrats! Thank you ah. Kasi dami ko natutunan dun sa video na pinapanood mo. Yun yung interview with the principal. Ah, okay. Sinunod ko lang kasi mga tips doon. Kaya ito, nakapasa. Oo nga, very helpful mga tips doon. Kaya kayo guys, sa mga teachers dyan na gustong matanggap agad sa school na pinag-applyan nyo, ito ang video na makakatulong sa inyo. Kaya ito na. Watch this!
I'm very grateful that our principal, Mr. Gerald Martin,
So formal. So formal. Mr. Gerald Marian.
So this blog is for Filipino teachers who want to pursue their teaching career here in Canada. So as a principal, how long have you been teaching before you became a principal, Mr. Martin?
Oh, that's an interesting story. I was actually only teaching for about 5.5 years before becoming principal. So, and I've been principal for the last 8.5. But that was a sort of a unique situation. Yeah, like it was kind of like fast track. Like so typically, principals will have to have their masters. I don't have my masters, but one of the things that had happened was, situations come up and you need a replacement, and sometimes it's about having the right person for that replacement. And so for this school, like Our Lady Victory, they needed somebody in the middle of the year that sort of already knew the staff, already knew sort of the people a bit, and would be smart enough that could actually do the job. So, and that sort of like fell into my lap, and I accepted it.
So basically, everything falls in the right place and at the right time. So
Yeah, very much so. More as I get older, I realize it's about the people. As I get older, I realize that it's more about the people that you meet, the people you know, that really get you into a good spot. And it's also about who you are as a person. If you're an unkind person, then unkind things will happen to you. And if you're a good person, nice person, people will definitely like you more. If you're a hard worker, that's sort of something that clearly shows to other people, which will more likely give you a chance or an opportunity to do something.
So that's a good point, Mr. Marin, because it's like building your connection. It's more other than having this high qualifications. It's more on how you build your connections, because I think it's more on how you work with other people than what you know, like some kind of things.
I've talked to other principals, and it's. A lot of times you might have a great candidate, so like a great teacher who's applied for a job, but and this is something like I've asked you in the interview process, but I always ask somebody, I'll give you 4 things, you tell me what's most important, and say, is it the money you make, is it the people you work with, is it the students you teach, or is it what the school stands for? Based on their answers, that you kind of feel like what kind of person they are. If somebody says anything other than students first, you would really question, like, if somebody puts staff last, then they may not be a team player. They don't care because they do their own thing, and they don't need to interact with other people. But and that's like super important, because most schools, you have to collaborate, you have to work with other people. You can't be somebody who is a lone wolf. You need to help things out. And so when I ask that question, in an interview, it really opens them up, like, what kind of person you are, without having to phone the references or doing sort of any other kind of questions.
Yeah, I remember that question.
Yeah, typically in public schools, you would need a master's, or you take a administrative course, level 1 or 2, to get there. But there are exceptions, of course, because inside the city, there is enough candidates to fill those spots. But when you go outside the city, there are jobs available. I talked to another principal that was my age who had basically gone through the same route. I'd only been teaching for like 5 years, and principal retired, and there was nobody to replace. And so he was asked to step up, and he did, and he's been principal since. Situations occur all the time like that, especially outside the city when they're limited in the number of people that you can pick from.
Basically, if you want a greater opportunity, go to outside the city.
Yes, for
Outside
sure.
the city.
There are a lot of opportunities. Manitoba has a lot of rural communities, very distant communities in which sometimes only a plane or a boat gets you in and out of that place. But the pay is high, but unfortunately there's not much there to do. The weather may not be the best, but for the most part it's a choice. You work there for a bit, you get to learn people, do the job, and when time comes, once you have experience, then you can go somewhere else.
As a principal, Mr. Mayor, what are you looking for for the teacher candidate?
Looking for somebody who isn't doing it for the money, somebody who is willing to put in the extra time and effort. Not that I want to squeeze every last energy and bit of strength you have out of you, but there's a lot to do in a school, a lot of committees, a lot of things that if we want to make the school better, people have to volunteer and do things. And so I'm looking for people who have skills that will help out that. So coaching, for sure, high. If you can coach sports, then I'm looking at you because I need people to help with that. Otherwise, it falls on my shoulder or it falls on the gym teacher. And so that's to take stress off that, we ask for that. Also looking for team player. Are you friendly? How do you deal with conflict? Are you able to easily resolve problems, or are you somebody who nothing bothers you? Which is even better, because then you have some easygoing person, so there won't be any conflicts, and I don't have to deal with issues between staff, because that is a huge thing. If there's going to be conflicts with staff, that makes it a very long and difficult issue with me. Another thing that that I would be looking for is just competency in an area. I wouldn't necessarily ask if somebody applied because they had high school experience as teaching. I wouldn't necessarily take them for early years, K to 4. Those are very, very different areas of teaching. And so, you have to make sure that your skill set fits what I'm asking for. Knowledge of the content is important, but not as much as how you deliver it. Old school teachers of paper, pencil, sit down, do work. That's not how we want to learn or can learn. We have to do different things. So looking for a variety of how you do that. I do, English language is also an important thing. So, we do have a lot of people who do apply for jobs and they do have accents or, speak a different language, and that makes it difficult to sort of choose people. So if you're coming to, Canada, coming to get a job, as a teacher, you definitely have to be able to pronounce things. So even if you have an accent, that's not a problem. But, if you can't pronounce certain letters, then how are the kids going to say that same way? So, being proficient in the language, or at least being able to enunciate and pronounce things, super important.
So, for example, I'm giving you my resume. What tip can you give to those teachers who want to be accepted in that position? That's tough. Number one, your CV, your resume has to be easy to read. For teachers, it should be about 3 pages long, maybe even 4. It needs to show your education, what you've done, but it has to be nicely easy to look at. So when I flip pages, things are coming out. If it's all bunched together, it's hard to read. I'm not there. I look for things, keywords like proficient in technology. I'm looking for proficient in classroom management, because the biggest problem that most teachers have is managing their class. You can be an amazing teacher, but if you have no classroom management, it goes to the waste, right? So things that stand out, some kind of leadership qualities. What are you doing outside of school? One of my questions going back to the interview, one of my questions is, what do you do outside of teaching how to work? And an important part of that question
is it only work that you focus on, or do you have fun? You know, what kind of fun do you have? And, you know, that tells me like a little bit, like I like reading books, good. Okay, so maybe you're more of an introvert, you do that. I like playing board games. Oh, you're an extrovert. You know, I can tell by your personality based on those questions. Those things should come out in your resume. It's like should be a good indicator. You know, an outgoing person would be somebody who would most likely be better with students, a good student rapport. So also on the resume, you're looking for what kind of PDs have you done? Are you volunteering somewhere? Volunteering just shows that you're not a selfish person, that you're willing to put in extra time for no reward. So that's important. And so cover letter, you have to make it personalized. A lot of people just do a generic whatever. You know, it has to be personal to that school. Go to the school, read their mission statement, read their newsletter, find some information about that. You know, maybe they have like a lunch program, or like maybe they have a hockey program, and you could like help out in that way. And that should be in the cover letter, because that, if you're doing research on the school, that means like you want the job. It's not just a whatever.
You're like interested to be really part of that organization.
Yeah, so if you're showing interest, that means you want the job. Like I don't want to offer you a job and then only for you to like reject it because, oh, I went to 10 other schools and I looked for them. You know, like, no, you want this job, you're interested in this school. I mean, that shows, like, that puts your resume to the top, like, for sure.
Wow, that's very insightful. Thank you very much, Mr. Marin, for even a short period of time you're able to enlighten me, even me, you know, as your employee.
You're welcome.
Thank you very
You're
much,
welcome.
Mr. Marin. It's my pleasure to hear those things from you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Marin.